you ready?
All right. Oh my God. All right. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Weeaboo Club, week 42. Haha, funny Hitchhiker's Guide joke. So this one is just Nun and I.
Yeah. So I mean, unfortunately, Craftsdwarf decided to quit YouTube. He's not going to be on the Weeb Club or make videos of his own anymore. He just said he was kind of tired of the whole YouTube thing, and he kind of wanted to try something different. He's getting a job. He said he's more interested in writing fan fiction and stuff rather than making videos because they don't make him creatively fulfilled. So he's just going to be gone.
Yeah, that happened. So it's just us forever now. Maybe if people want it, we'll bring on a third. But yeah, it's just us.
Yeah. The Nad Dad has said how he wants to be on a weekly before.
I would do a weekly with Natty. Do you want to see if we can get him to guest for next week?
Maybe. We won't ask him, but if he says something because he listened to this episode, then we'll have him.
All right, that's fair. He's got to actually prove it, that he actually wants to be on.
Yeah.
Okay, so comments. Let me see. Do you have?
I like
new?
Offline's comment.
Oh yeah.
God,
yeah,
I'm so glad that the
Shrek
Shrek 2 game was as integral and informative to Vindy's early years as it was for mine. Shit goes dummy hard.
Equinox says no Craftsdwarf means no motorcycle guy. Nun and I recorded something the other day that I don't know when it'll go up. It depends. I want to try to get edited soon, but even though Craftsdwarf is not in it, a motorcycle guy does still appear. So it sounds like he's evolving from just a Craftsdwarf character to an everyone character.
I mean, he just knows where all of us are, so he can come anywhere he wants.
As long as we're recording, there's a chance he'll fucking zoom on by. And then Megaraphic says he didn't have any BSA episode downloaded, which... Okay,
yeah, I
but
knew
then
that.
Why are people saying that that's sad and that they don't like that? You don't want any... no one should think that the lost media of the BSA is anything but a general win for the public.
I wanted to watch it.
No. I would rather kill myself than listen to a BSA episode, I think. I would choose death. I didn't have any more comments. So on the Reddit, there's...
Yeah. Someone just looks up the Weeb Club.
And it's a bunch
I think
of
that second
Hot
one's
Boy
by
ASMR.
Vindy. I think they're all by Vindy, actually.
Well, what I was going to say is, first of all, you know that your search results are tailored to what you listen to, right? First of all, but I think that's the joke, and I'm going to go ahead and guess what this is, all right? This guy looked up dominant boyfriend ASMR.
This is Master Spoon.
Yeah, I know. Spoon looked up dominant boyfriend ASMR into the YouTube search bar, and then after searching that and finding the two videos, right, he then went in and typed in Weeb Club and didn't press enter. And I want everyone listening to this to go test it yourself. Go to YouTube and search in Weeb Club. Oh, wait, he typed in Weeb Cub. Never mind. I figured he just forgot an L. This fucking dumbass.
Hold up. I want to see if when you search it like that, that actually pops up. Because, what you said sounded more like what I would have thought he did, but the cub part, yeah.
No, there's just a typo. He is not that smart. There's just a fucking typo. This guy's an idiot. He forgot an L and didn't notice it when he took it in the screenshot. I was like, I'll post this on Reddit. It's like, dude, you can't spell.
That's fucking funny.
Oh my god.
Anyway, the next Reddit post, also by Master Spoon, it's pretty good.
Who are those people? I don't know. Is that like the people that were photoshopped on?
Yeah, I'm not sure who they are either.
Because of the guy on the right's afro, it's the PCP.
Game Grumps?
It's the PCP.
Oh, shit.
I thought for a second it was Game Grumps, but yeah, it's the PCP. Holy fuck.
That makes it worse.
That does make it worse. All right.
I'm closing Reddit. I've had enough of that.
I could feel myself losing brain cells having the website open for that long. So today we are going to the topic. We were originally going to do like a bunch of smaller topics, but then we decided on just one topic, which is going to be like Nintendo and maybe our history, and then like especially how we feel about current Nintendo and why we both kind of don't like them.
Yeah. But
I think to start with, I do want to talk about something that I think is hopefully a little bit better, which is we're going to talk about the new Pokemon starters.
We're only like fucking a month late or something.
It doesn't fucking matter. We're not going to clickbait the starters. We'll clickbait like Nintendo as a whole. So we'll throw a starter in there too, but probably the duck, but you know. So how do you feel about the starters?
They're okay. I don't love them or anything, but I think at a certain point, I always need to wait until the game comes out and wait till like the anime and stuff, or when the anime and stuff comes out, because I don't know, just looking at them, I don't usually feel anything for like newer starters. I kind of need to like get a grasp of them from actually playing, and then I'll like them. But like, I mean, fan art of them is pretty nice.
I had that thought because I had a friend who said, like, his response to seeing them was like, oh, they just don't look like they're real starters. And I said that, like, I felt that with last gen starters. Even though I like last gen starters, except for Sobble, I think that, like, originally I was like, oh, yeah, like, I think these look kind of weird in, like, the lineup with all the other starters. And then now I see them and they look perfectly normal in the lineup. So I do think that it is hard to accurately judge what you think of, like, a group of starters as a whole until everything comes out. But I think you can look at these three Pokemon and individually, like, you know, see which one's your favorite, which one you think is a little sus, at least for just the first evolutions, you know?
Mm-hmm. I can't even really do that fully because for the last couple gens, my favorite has changed from what my first, like, initial favorite was. Like, with Gen 7, Gen 8, I mean, Sobble was the one I was leaning toward. Like, I kind of liked Score Bunny, but it was mostly Sobble. And now I don't give a fuck about Sobble. And I think he's, like, actively my least favorite Pokemon, like, in general. Because he's the only one I can name that I, like, have this kind of... Like, when I think of least favorite, it's always him first. And I don't even, like, dislike him. He just comes to mind first. And I just don't like his line in general.
I mean, the second evolution of that line looks like a goddamn school shooter, and I will never respect it. I don't know. It is hard, right? Like, I think that, you know, even though I think that, you know, Gen 5 is one of the strongest gens of Pokemon, I think that I would actually say it has my least favorite selection of starters. I think it's like 5 and 6.
I mean, I always think that's pretty fair when people say that.
But I think that, like, most of the other gens, like, I do think, you know, Gen 8s were pretty good. I like at least these first evolutions on the 3 of them a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I like the fucking funny weed cat just because it is, like, funny. And it looks like just the silhouette of it looks like what I would expect to be the normal type at the start of the game. But it's green and has a big pot leaf on its face. The alligator boy, I fucking love, because he looks like he has no brain. and the ducks are growing on me. He looks so fucking silly with his like hat.
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking, the only one that I have any idea for, because it's Spain, is I was talking to my brother, and we had the idea that what if the duck becomes like a bullfighter, and he uses like his wing as like a cape. And in that instance, the duck would, cool. The duck, if that's what happens, the duck will be my favorite, and he'll be the one I pick.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I think right now I'm leaning to the alligator, just because he has nothing going on behind his eyes. He
does look like the Vindy starter.
He's so stupid. I love him.
Right now, I'm gonna pick the duck, but I mean, I'll probably pick him anyway, because like, part of me wants to do a thing where I actually try not to look at every new trailer for the Pokemon game, and like, I actually try to like know as little as possible, because I usually always look at everything, but I think it'd be fun to try not to do that for one gen. So I might do that. But at the same time, it might be for nothing, because I'm trying to wait until we get to this with the Pokemon shit with Crafts. But Crafts is, like, old and slow, so we're never going to get there. And I'll see everything.
Right. Crafts could only be awake so many hours in a day, and so much of that is taken up by, who knows what.
Wait, shit. I forgot. He quit YouTube, so never mind. I can just play it. Totally quit YouTube.
But yeah, I think they're fine. I think that when they come out, I think people will grow to like them, and they'll be a good starter class. But I think they're whatever. Did you see that they said that there's not going to be like load times or whatever, something like that in the new game?
No, I didn't see that.
Areas or so. I think they said like there won't be like defined.
Oh yeah,
areas.
the seamless open world areas. Yeah, I saw that. I didn't assume like load. I didn't think about load times or anything.
Oh, that's just like what I assume that means. Like, yeah, there's no load times. You're kind of just moving through, but we'll see. That game's gonna run like shit. And I think we can use that to transition. I mean, that would normally just transition to current Nintendo, but do you want to start with, like, I guess, history of Nintendo and then move into...
Well, I mean, we can. Like, what did you... if you fucking loved Nintendo before and now you fucking hate them, you can talk about that.
Yeah. Well,
do you want to?
Yeah, I mean, I think you would agree with that, right? I mean, we talked about our history of gaming, right? So both of us started with Nintendo consoles. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, played a lot of Nintendo until... I guess we had points where we switched, and I would say I switched before you, but even like after I switched, it was just that I didn't only play Nintendo. Like, like I was always playing like Pokemon or playing like, like Kid Icarus Uprising, or like during this period where I was playing like very few other games, there were always a couple games that Nintendo was making that I would be interested in and watch the directs and play certain games. So I would say that I think before the last couple of years I definitely had a very favorable I would say that I have the like opinion of Nintendo that a lot of like Nintendo lovers and like just I think general people have when they talk about Nintendo, right? That they just like make games in a way that like other people aren't, and, they're like they march to the beat of their own drum, but they make it work, right? Because they're Nintendo, and they make games that feel a lot different than what what Microsoft and Sony are putting out. Now I think that not only is that dumb to think, and I don't know if it's ever actually fully been the case, but also I think that Nintendo are just kind of cringe with the way they make games now, and certain things that they do. Not even just in how they make games, but just in how they do things as a company that just are fucking dumb.
Yeah, I definitely agree in the sense that like before I also, I wasn't like questioning all these things about Nintendo and like super thinking about it. So like I enjoyed all their games, and I usually always got the Nintendo console first, and it was like the thing I would prioritize over the other consoles. Just because I was always more interested in their games. And I think what does give Nintendo that kind of view and that edge really is that a lot of their games do feel like their own, because like Sony and Xbox and Microsoft share a lot of things between their consoles more so, and a lot of those things are pillars of both those consoles, whereas like all of Nintendo's pillars are only Nintendo's pillars. And like Sony and Microsoft do have that, but they just don't have like as much of a sense of like unity between their things. Like if somebody played Smash Bros, they're more likely to care about a bunch of the characters in that game. Whereas if somebody played a PlayStation All Stars, I think a lot of the people there, Sony fans or whatever, wouldn't necessarily care about all of them. Because like someone can be more so like an NBA, fucking Call of Duty and all that stuff guy, so they don't really like know who Parappa the Rapper is or whatever.
Right, but if you have a Switch, or if you had a Wii, or if you had a Wii U, or less so I think GameCube, but if you had like other Nintendo consoles, the best games on those consoles weren't, oh yeah, there's whatever on 360 is playing. It's, oh yeah, Mario Galaxy, or you get like Kirby's Epic Yarn, or you get but like you get Nintendo games, right? Because that's like what the best games on the console are. And so I think because of that, and I think their games are, they have more, it feels like series that like anyone can be a fan of and just kind of hop into and play. Whereas like I feel like a lot of the Sony games, because they do have a lot, it feels like their series, first of all, I mean, they aren't as long standing as a lot of Nintendo's, but they also feel like they aren't like, is because I think they're so much more story focused, right? It's not like, you don't just like play Last of Us 2 and not play the first one and be like, yeah, like I really like Ellie and would want to see her in a game. But you can play like, X number fucking Kirby game or Star Fox game and be like, yeah, Fox is fucking awesome. Look at him in Smash Bros. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I think like pretty much most of their games are that. Like very rarely do I think of a like part 2 of something that's like fucking necessary. Like even though I think Majora's Mask takes place after Ocarina of Time, it's still not like it's not as continuing on directly as some other games would.
The only one I could think of is like the direct Fire Emblem sequels, so the Ike sequel game. But yeah, I mean, even then, and I think that's like, a big testament is that, I don't have to play Mario 64 to really play Sunshine. So I think people grow up playing these Nintendo games, and you play whatever version of whatever, like the most recent version of that character is in your childhood, and you become attached to that character for years, right? You played like whatever Mario game, whatever Zelda game, whatever Kirby game was available to you as a kid, and like those characters are with you, and so that gives Nintendo a huge strength. And yeah.
Yeah, like personally speaking, I think because Nintendo's always like, it's always what's probably more likely to get a kid into gaming. I think it makes you naturally softer on them because you grew up with them. So like in some ways you'll kind of cope with what they're doing because you're nostalgic for them, and like you have all these personal feelings and childhood memories. So like I feel like it clouds your judgment of them, kind of, sort of. It definitely did for me at a point in time, I think. Like with the Wii U, like during that time, I feel like I would maybe be more of like the coping kind of Nintendo fan, because the Wii U obviously failed very badly, but I don't think I really acknowledged much of the like shortcomings of the system then. Yeah, I do like the Wii U though. I mean, I won't say I'm not going to pretend like I think it's bad though.
It's a lot easier, I think, to ignore some of the flaws Nintendo had with the Wii U and still say that, like, yeah, I'm a Nintendo fan, because they were doing so much shit that was so nice for the people that were still supporting them, right? In a time where they probably needed the money for anything, right? They were like, oh, if you buy Mario Kart 8, I think you get a free game, and And Nintendo Selects were going, and they were giving all sorts of deals, and it also felt like they were doing, even if some of their marketing stuff failed, like, I think the reason that people talk about like the Year of Luigi so much is because like that was just an awesome idea. Like even if it kind of sucked and there kind of wasn't a lot for it, the idea of doing like a Year of Luigi is awesome, and it feels like they don't do some of the fun shit like that anymore,
They even during the 3DS, as an apology for not having much at launch, or something like that.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
just
yeah.
gave away a bunch of free NES and maybe SNES games as
It was
well.
NES, SNES, I think, and Game Boy Advance games.
That's
And the
fucking
Game Boy
Advance games.
Yeah, and the Game
Fuck
Boy Advance
yeah.
games never got on the eShop, so the only way to have gotten them was to support the 3DS then. But yeah, like they made the versions that just for these ambassadors to give away as free things, because that's what they call it, was like the 3DS ambassador program. Yeah, and they were doing shit like that for people, and so I think it was a lot easier to like ignore that, oh yeah, the marketing was terrible for the console, and Breath of the Wild is kind of stuck in development hell and nobody is really talking about that, but some of the games that came out that I think were good, there were good Nintendo games on the Wii U, and I think a lot of people would agree with that, right? And I mean, a lot of them since have been ported, but there was, Donkey Kong Country, Tropical Freeze, right? I think Mario 3D World is really good. So there were a bunch of good games on the system, and
yeah.
So when would you say? What were you gonna say actually?
I mean, I was gonna kind of say how I think a lot of their mistakes on the Wii U were like more forgivable because like even though they're not making as many games for the Wii U as like they might be doing for the Switch, I'm buying more Wii U games because I'm getting such good deals on them. And like I appreciate the games more when like I'm not paying $60 for fucking I don't know, for something that like is good, like kind of good, but like not that good. Whereas like on the Switch, if I bought like Mario Golf or something for $60, I'm gonna be a lot more fucking critical and a lot more kind of upset about having to pay for that. And I just end up not getting as many Switch games because they cost so much.
Yeah, there's a lot of games. Like I feel like, and I remember thinking this when I first got my Switch, is like I was waiting to pick up a bunch of games that I wanted because like I will buy a lot more. Like I watched the State of Play that happened yesterday. I don't know if you watched it.
Didn't watch it yet.
It ended with these 2 Square games that they talked about that I was talking to a friend about, and I was like, yeah, these feel like, honestly, they felt like AA games. Like they felt like the kind of shit that Square would have been like putting out on the PS2, and it's not a big AAA team making it, but they're working on it and they plug away at it and it comes out, and maybe like some people really like it and think it's kind of cool, and maybe other people can't really get into it. And it's not like technically the most impressive, but one of them I thought looked kind of fun, and so I think that's kind of how I felt about that. But it got me thinking about how that's a game that what happens is I will wait 6 months to a year, pick it up for $15 to $20, and then maybe I play it for 30 minutes, think it's cool. Maybe I never play it, right? Mm-hmm. But that's not a game I buy at 60. And I think Nintendo has a bunch of those games where, yeah, I would pick this up to play with friends if they came over, right? Or pick this up to play every once in a while when I felt like it, right? Like things like Mario Golf, or even though I don't think it's that good of a game, the Switch Mario Party. And I think there's a bunch of games that they have come out like that. 1-2 Switch I would have picked up,
Yeah, that's such bullshit that game is still 60. Well, it might be like 50, but it's still too much.
Yeah, and so it's just crazy that I think like these games, it just leads to me having less of the Switch games because, they're so expensive. And the problem is they're so expensive, and they're serious that like we're on the GameCube and had good GameCube games. So, I'll just play them on Dolphin and play them with NetPlay on Dolphin. You know what I mean? And I think that I'm not going to say like Nintendo are just driving people to piracy, but, I end up pirating games because I don't want to pay their ridiculous prices for games that launch incomplete, and get a bunch and launch without a lot of content, to only get a bunch of content via free patches where it's like, cool, these are coming out for free, but why did it's like they, I hate how often people talk about this quote, right? But like that Miyamoto quote about like delaying games. It's like, that's basically like, they're just like, yeah, we'll just launch it unfinished and then we'll just update it later. And then now it's a good game. And it's like, why don't you just delay the game till everything's there and you can release a game with a lot of content, and then it's a lot easier for me to justify buying it for $60 if it's like, oh yeah, there's actually like a bunch of content here. They even did it with Ultimate, like people will forget that now, but Ultimate had
I didn't
lot.
fucking know they fucking delayed it. Actually,
No, not delayed it, but the Ultimate had a bunch of content come in patches. Is what I mean.
oh yeah. Some
Like
of the
those
modes
first
and
few
stuff.
character patches was like we're adding like modes that are kind of like core, have been core to Smash for a while, and I still think even now, people always praise the game, right? Yeah, it has an insane roster, and there's a lot of characters, and there's a lot of music, and there's a lot of all these things, but the game does not have many modes. It probably has like the second least, right after Smash 1.
Oh, I thought you were gonna. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
I
like
thought
it
you were
goes
gonna
like
say
Smash
4.
1, and then no, because I think even Smash Tour and the event mode and the challenges were more than.
I mean, but yeah, between 3DS and Wii U, it probably has a pretty good amount.
yeah, and I know there's like World of Light, like that's it, and that's kind of bad. So, yeah, and so I think even when you go to like the Switch's best games that people don't really complain about this shit with, it's still a problem, and Smash is still $60. And Breath of the Wild is still $60, and that game's like 5 years old. So it just like that's
also
like the first
Wii U
thing.
game.
Yeah,
Actually, a Wii U game.
It's so crazy. I think like the price thing. Like it might sound like it's just complaining, but it's just so insane to me that their games because it just what it means is that Nintendo thinks that like okay the value hasn't depreciated at all, or it's just people will still buy it for 60, so we can continue to do this. And it's like it's so cringe actually.
Mm-hmm. And I think what's like really messed up about it, in a sense, maybe saying messed up isn't the right word, but like I feel like even though Nintendo seems like the cheaper of the video game consoles, it's really not, because when you actually factor in having to pay for full price games, you spend more money on a Nintendo console than other consoles. Like I have more PS4 games than I have Switch games, and I've only had a PS4 for like a year or two, and I've had the Switch since launch because Sony games go on sale like so much and for so much cheaper. Like the Mario Day sale that's happening right now, the deals aren't that good. They are not that good. I feel like they're very stingy about when they put things on sale, and so it's like 20% off, 30.
Yeah, a 5-year-old something like Mario and Rabbids, right? Which realistically should be $15 right now.
Actually, I will defend that one. That game is on sale all the fucking time because it's a Ubisoft
but
game.
it goes on sale to $35. Although I guess that's
I
fair.
feel like it's gone down further than that. I think you might be wrong on that.
But Mario Odyssey,
God,
for
that's been
example,
so cheap.
A game which should be, I mean, if you look at it, if you wanted to look at a reasonable Sony comparison, right? Even look at, if you want to look even more recent, I guess.
Last of Us 2 has been $20 and I got it for $20.
Yeah, it's $20 because and part of that's because PlayStation do greatest hits, which Nintendo don't do anymore, and you can't tell me it's not commercially viable because Sony do it. Microsoft give all of their games away for basically free. Your games do not have to stay at $60, Nintendo. And so I think that that's just so like annoying almost. But another thing that the more I think about it, the more I do think is just super cringe is the stuff they did with the Fire Emblem and the 3D All-Stars, the Mario 3D All-Stars game, where they were like limited time availability, and they've done it with a few other things. I think is like really fucked and dumb.
Yeah, that's like at the same time, I wouldn't say it's inherently worse than like some of the worst fucking microtransaction EA shit that people complain about, but it also feels like one of those kinds of evils that's more backhanded and sneaky. Like that just feels more sneaky to me. It's not upfront about its fucking evil.
Yeah, because like at least if I'm playing Madden Ultimate Team, right, and I'm fucking really hating my life, and I'm like, man, my team is dog shit, I can at least just see the game is telling me, hey, yeah, if you want to actually be good, just like spend $10,000. It's like, all right, like I know what I signed up for. But I feel like with the limited time availability shit, it's like, oh yeah, like, hey guys, we can only do this for a limited time. It's like when like Taco Bell or like even with the McRib, right? People like should know that like the McRib is only available for a limited amount of time because it's like a scam to get you to buy it more when it's there. You know what I mean? It drives up the like price, like like the McRib makes more money for McDonald's as a whole as a limited time thing than it does like all the time. Like if it was there all the time, like it's not like they can't do it, right? It's not like Nintendo couldn't keep the Fire Emblem game and Mario 3D All Stars up for $60. And realistically, for Nintendo, it probably would have just sold more in the long run if they had just let it continue to be sold. But it feels like they're like trying so hard. They're like, oh yeah, you know, we're really gonna fucking force people to buy it now. And especially then when you look at how bad the 3D All Stars is as like a collection compared to, you know, other All Stars games that Nintendo have done in the past, then it's doubly so. It's like it makes it feel like they made it as cheaply as possible, and they knew it wasn't gonna be like a super good collection. So they're like, yeah, if we say people can only buy it for a limited time, everyone will buy it right up front as opposed to waiting and picking it up later if they hear it's not good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely think it's also that like Disney Vault type mentality of like, yeah, these are the fucking big 3D Mario games. We can't let people like a bunch of people, like we can't let everyone own this already because we want to release this later and then get more. Like you did say like how you feel like they'd get more from keeping it out. Like now, I don't really agree with that because it's probably that long-term idea of we'll release this again at some point and then we'll make more. Because like even with fucking like Earthbound, even though it's been on the Wii U and 3DS, it still seems like a big deal to people when it gets released again. So like they know that people fucking you fucking hold it back for a while and then you release it again.
It like spits in the face of the idea of games preservation, and also just convenience for everyone. You know what I mean? Like convenience for your customers.
Mm-hmm.
And just to like make what I imagine legitimately is ultimately a small amount more than if they had done it the other way, purely because I think everyone who is going to buy it does anyways for games a lot of the time, especially when you're talking about Nintendo stuff, right? I think everyone who's going to buy Earthbound on a specific console is going to buy Earthbound on that console, right? Or everyone who's going to buy, you know, the Mario games. And ultimately, that's what companies are...
Though, is when you're starving people, they'll keep talking about it. It's low-key promoting it to a bunch of other people who aren't interested in it, but they keep hearing everybody wants the X game, so like by the time it actually releases, those extra people are into it as well. That's how I think.
I don't think Earthbound's there anymore. Like I think everyone knows. I mean,
no, I've seen people like making like guides for people just now getting to Earthbound because it's on the Switch. Like not everybody bought Earthbound on Virtual Console.
Real.
That's real. That is real. I saw somebody making a guide. I saw somebody like draw like some kind of tips and shit because people were complaining apparently because like I guess new babies who play the Switch think Earthbound is hard even though it's not.
That is real. This. I'm quitting the internet. Y'all are fucking insane. Terrible people. Yeah, I don't know. So I just really don't like this the limited time stuff and I just think that's fucking cringe. Do you have anything that you think is another like problem, I guess, that you have? Because I know you have some, but
I mean, one that we haven't brought up at all is like the like kind of how Nintendo like treats like Smash or like competitive games. That they have.
I think that's a really good. Yeah, not even just. Yeah, I mean, we can start there, but also then just talk about like even like on YouTube and things like that. Yeah.
Like I think the biggest like problem is that Nintendo will like shut down very good opportunities that these games have to grow their scene and like their audience. And then they'll deliver very little in return. Like, they do give some things, but it's not, like, enough to make up for all the things they take away. And even just recently, they took Smash out of Evo. And some people say it's because of the controversy stuff. I don't believe that, actually. I think it's what someone else that I've seen said is just that Sony owns Evo. So Nintendo's, like, just being weird about it. I feel like it's that, personally, but...
Mm-hmm.
I think taking Smash out of Evo is just like actually insane, because like people will say like they don't like Smash doesn't need Evo, and it doesn't, but it's still like a big thing for Smash anyway. It's not like, I don't think like Smashers can like throw a tournament as big as Evo can be.
Well,
I just
and
don't think that's
also
really
Evo has
a
a lot
thing.
of mainstream popularity that even like, Genesis doesn't have, right? If you want to look at Genesis as like probably the biggest Smash tournament, right? Or any of those like equally sized tournaments, right? It's like those don't have the same mainstream appeal that Evo does, right? Evo is for like fighting game competition, like the GDQs are for speedrunning, right? Where even if maybe you're gonna get a lot of viewers at like a Genesis, you're gonna have more eyes just in general on your scene at an Evo. And so yeah, I think it's really dumb that Nintendo do shit like that. And just like the other problem I have with when they do try to initiate a pro scene, and to be fair, I don't know what they do with Splatoon, but the Smash one is just so, it almost feels like, almost, I don't know, it's so opposite what the game actually is, I feel, right? Like, I don't know if they've gotten better about this, but the last time I paid attention in Ultimate, it was like they were running something, there were like items on in like the official Nintendo tournaments, and they like the rule set that you could have wasn't like the actual like one that the pro scene uses. And
They
it's like,
go
you're
back
so...
and forth on that. It's like sometimes they'll do item tournaments, sometimes they'll just do like the standard competitive. It's never like super consistent though.
But that's a problem, right? Like, why aren't the rules for your scene staying consistent? It does seem like they're on top of it somewhat with Pokemon and VGC having its the rules it does.
Oh yeah, they're pretty good about that. I didn't think.
But I don't know how much that's actually the Pokemon company running it, right? Not Nintendo. Because the Pokemon company probably, because the VGC ones take place in the same place as the TCG ones, right? So it probably is the Pokemon company that runs it, and they're done from the Pokemon, accounts. So actually, it makes more sense if Nintendo isn't the one running it, but because when they do it for Smash, it feels so just like you're missing the point and not doing what you could, right? And if you look at what any other successful esport does, especially in terms of the developer working with it, it's either the developer has no control at all and just leaves it to run, right? And I think you can look at that with things like Counter-Strike. You can also look at it with Melee, right? Because Melee just kind of goes under Nintendo's radar for most of it. It's been able to thrive, right? And create its own ecosystem that keeps it propped up. And then there's ones where the person making the game is very involved in the esports scene and runs it, but has better ideas for doing it. And even if there are problems, they push it well enough that it's able to work, which really is like League of Legends and the way Riot does that. They have such a tight hand on the scene, but they have like a plan for it, and they do it in like a way that's like close enough to the game that people actually want to play at a high level, that they're not ruining it, where Nintendo will actively ruin what the high-level players want to do and I think what viewers want to watch. So they're just really fucking so behind, it feels, with so much stuff, including this.
Yeah, I think it's kind of interesting how, like, with Microsoft or Sony games, or just Blizzard or any other company, it feels like they just have more of a capability to it, like kind of just ignore things a little bit and not like care. Like, I mean, not that they don't care at all, but like I think Nintendo feels like it almost feels like they fucking start molding when whatchamacallit, when Smash players try to get this like big opportunity to do something, and feel like they kind of have to have the say on that. Because there's been a lot of events that have been shut down because of Nintendo, aside from like Evo, or like there's this like whole document about like just a bunch of behind the scenes things Nintendo has done that are just like it. I remember looking at it one time. It's been a long time though, but it was pretty fucking crazy to see like all the weird random instances of them not liking Smash players doing something. It just feels like, I don't know, it feels like they probably just they want too much control over things that they don't really need control over. And if they wanted control, then like they should actually run a good tournament series that uses the rules that the community likes, because it would be very profitable for them to do so.
Yeah, and it's not like there isn't already from my understanding at least, and people in the comments will correct me if I'm wrong, but from my understanding, there's already a good amount of contemporaries within the fighting game scene to look at in terms of having in those ones it's a world tour, which I think is actually perfect for fighting games, because with fighting games, you have it's not really team based, right? It's individual people going around. So I think following a model closer to like tennis or golf works perfectly, where there's a world tour and there's a lot of different tournaments, and tournaments are all tracked by one thing, which is it's tracked by Namco Bandai and Capcom for the two games respectively, right? And so as you go, so top players have to travel to a bunch of different good tournaments with other good competition and place well, and you get points to then go to these big championship tournaments, right? So I think it's like every year, right? There's the big tournament for Street Fighter that's just a Street Fighter tournament that Capcom hosts that is for the world championship for Street Fighter that year, right, where you're the best of the year. And Tekken does the same. And that's great, because then that uses Evo and uses these other big fighting game tournaments that happen, like Combo Breaker and stuff. And they matter to the overall world thing, but then they also just matter as individual tournaments. And I think that works so well. And Smash could do that, right? There's already kind of a place in that for Summit, right, where you earn points for Summit. But why doesn't Nintendo step in and then just also count Summit as like another tournament? So then, and then there's the big Nintendo one that has like, a big prize pool and a lot of exposure, and there's a lot of cool stuff there. There's already a model in place that Nintendo could use, and they just like ignore it and do bad things.
I did hear about Panda Global kind of getting Nintendo to help them do shit and actually like teaming up with them. I don't know if that's actually going to go anywhere, but it seems like it's actually working kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, and then I also think with, I think, so not even just YouTube, I mean, the way that they are with copywriting Let's Players and things like that is also something that I don't really think is stopped, and is another issue of them just being like behind the times and unable to like actually move forward with like the future of, because like ultimately the future of video games is like this very social thing, right, that happens with streamers and YouTubers and people talking about the game, right? I think when you look at a lot of the most popular games recently, right, I mean right now Elden Ring is a great example. It's such a social like thing, right, because so many people are playing this game and talking about it, and people are streaming it and finding things, and social media is such a big part of how people, I think, experience something like a long game that you're playing over, you know what I mean, like multiple days to weeks to however long like the game takes. Social media is going to have a big influence in that, and I think that Nintendo are so behind where they're blocking Let's Players and streams and will block things, and this isn't to say, because I do think that Nintendo are valid and probably completely right to take down that guy who was uploading video game music. I'm sorry, guys. I know it's really annoying.
They didn't actually do that, so it turns out somebody just used Nintendo's name to fucking do that.
But if they had, right, like legally, they absolutely can do that. You know what I mean? And especially if they are then going to do, which I would love, by the way, for them to do, and I think they absolutely should, do what, you see Capcom and Sega and Sony and Bandai and a lot of, and Square do it as well, where they put their video game soundtracks on things like Apple Music and Spotify. Guess what? You will get a lot of plays from a lot of people if your soundtracks are up. I listen, like I have, you know what I mean? Like it's fucking great to like be able to go. And I think if Nintendo do that at some point, then they're super valid to go on YouTube and X it all out, right? Because it's somewhere for people to get to. But, I think that they're completely fine to go to YouTube and like X people out, and to even take down fan projects, right? Like I know people like AM2R, and it sucks that Nintendo killed it, but like that was a game that was being made off of their like IP. Like they're completely valid to do that. But then I think like, something like a Let's Play is like clear, like it's clearly transformative, so it's clearly like fair use, and they just like kind of ignore that and take shit down. I think that's like scummy and annoying and cringe and bad. Can you type if you will be able to unmute anytime soon, Mr. Manji? Or can you not hear either? Nunmanji died mid recording. What the hell?
All right, I'm back. I apologize. Had to go
you're
do
good.
something.
No, you're fine. We were talking about Nintendo. Yeah, I don't know.
I think you brought up like what Capcom does with their games. I think that's what you were talking about.
Okay, so you didn't. Yeah, I made a whole point. I essentially basically said that I think what Capcom do with their like Capcom and Sega put like their soundtracks, right, and Square do it as well.
Oh yeah,
game soundtracks up on Apple Music and Spotify, and I think especially if Nintendo do that, which I mean just like how insane it would actually be if they put up all of their game soundtracks on like Apple Music and Spotify. That would be fucking insane, and they would make a lot of money from that off of like just plays on those. You know what I mean? Money that they're like, it's literally, I just don't understand. I can't in my brain picture how it isn't just free money.
Yeah, I think Nintendo has like so many people who will latch on to most things they do that are actually good, to the point where like if they put their music on Spotify and Apple Music, people would talk about that like all the time. Not all the time, but like when it comes out, they would fucking talk about it a lot.
Not only that, what would happen is, even so many other people that don't care a lot, but like think it's kind of cool, would put a lot of specific songs from different game soundtracks into their playlists or onto their libraries, or would add whole game soundtracks into their playlists. And over time, it would just be getting a bunch of plays from a bunch of different people, right? Listening to hundreds of game soundtracks, where I just don't know how that isn't just a lot of money that wouldn't be gotten, that would be instead gotten by not using the soundtracks for anything.
It's kind of interesting how the Pokemon Company made a channel for putting up music recently, and they're like doing what Nintendo doesn't. Like you mentioned, they're like VGC, and they also have the TCG. So like I didn't even think about how they're just low key kind of doing certain things that Nintendo isn't good at doing.
Yeah. The problem is Nintendo covers like publishing, so Pokemon games stay expensive, but because the problem is Pokemon has also like one of the biggest issues of the pricing of the games, right? Something like fucking like legit like some shit like fucking
Let's Go?
No, Snap should be like $20, $15 right now, and I would legitimately buy it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not spending $60 fucking on that thing.
Yeah.
So I do think Pokemon do like with some of that stuff. I definitely think they do a better job. But yeah.
Was there anything else you wanted to mention?
Not that I can think of. Do you
bring up the Joy-Cons or something?
Oh yeah, fuck Joy-Con drift. I mean, I think that's one that. But yeah, Joy-Con drift is terrible, and the fact that they're not doing anything about it and then still releasing games that are Joy-Con dependent, even if it's not intentionally scummy, it feels really scummy, because it's like, here's a game that you need our broken controller to play, and so guess what? You're gonna have to buy more of our $70 tiny controllers that break all the time. It's like, fuck off.
Yeah, I even aside from Joy-Con drift, I don't think the Joy-Cons are like that good. I mean, like, they're fine, but I don't like, I feel like they feel kind of cheap. Like, I guess it could, like, I don't think it's like inherently a flaw, like in a sense, because their system is $300, and making better controllers would drive up the price and stuff, so it's like not that bad. But the Joy-Con drift stuff is like, fuck.
Yeah,
I've never really had Joy-Con drift though, so I can't really say.
My one pair fucked, so.
I have like very minor stuff I could bring up, but I don't really like I talk about how the eShop kind of sucks, but I'm not like, I don't really fucking care anymore. It's not like, there's no music, it's kind of whatever to me, no wallpapers, but it's not really something I think about anymore.
Yeah, like it I think things like that stop being as much of a care to you as once you stop caring as much about like using, like I remember, right, I guess I'll give this as like an example. Like I remember when I was like playing games on my 360, right, and that was where I was playing all of my games, I was spending all my time, and I mean I think Discord stopped a lot of this stuff for a lot of people on consoles, but when you're playing everything through your Xbox, that becomes like a very important like electronic in your life, where you want it to look a certain way and feel a certain way, and the UI and how like things like the social elements and the party worked, and you actually use those things. And now like I don't care about any of those features not being on my Switch, because I'm only ever on my Switch to play a specific game. So all I do is like turn on my Switch and then open the game I'm trying to play, right? I don't look through the menus, right? I don't go to something like a Miiverse or to the social tab of like my PS4, right? I turn it on, I click the game, I click go. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that like, it's not just like, I think that technology's changed around it, but I think that's somewhat it. But I also think it is just that like, as you get older, you stop doing like right? Like, I do most of that stuff on a computer now, right? Because that's like, where it's best. And so then the console is just for the game. And so like that shit, like the wallpapers and stuff I used to probably would care about, I do not give a fuck.
I do wish like the game organizing thing was like a little better, because I think that's when fair. It does the last played thing, it could be like a little annoying to find things, because it's like, especially if I just played like a demo, I don't want the fucking demo like right on the fucking front of my shit. Like I don't and just like never being able to move. Like if I fucking played Splatoon 2 like 50 years ago, even though it was 50 years ago, I wouldn't want like all this other shit to be in front of it, but I can only change the order by opening games one by one, and nobody's gonna do that.
Yeah,
that's really the only thing I would actually want them to change at this point. But I have been playing my 3DS recently, and the themes on that are really fucking cool. Like they have music for each and every one of them. They look really fucking good. I don't know if you could even make it look as good on the Switch though if you tried. I don't fucking know. It's probably all I have to say, I think. Is there anything else? Okay.
No, sorry. You can move it. Sorry, I have a text I gotta answer.
All right.
Okay, sorry. So, what do you have anything more about like Nintendo you want to talk about, or do you want to go to the next thing?
I mean, if you wanted to, we could talk about like upcoming shit if you really wanted to, but it's not really necessarily on the topic of bitching about Nintendo necessarily.
I don't even know if I have anything, if I'm being honest. Like I legitimately don't know if I even have anything super upcoming I'm like super duper excited about.
I see. I mean, I'm still looking forward to Bayonetta 3. I'm not going to replay 1 and 2 for it. I normally would, but I decided I don't feel like it. So I'm just going to fucking play it. Mm. I am sad that it's only on the... Oh yeah, we didn't really talk about the Switch just being underpowered. It's sad that Bayonetta and like No More Heroes are only on the Switch, because like those kind of games just feel like they benefit from other consoles a lot.
The Switch is a mobile console, right? It is a mobile platform. It is not a home console. I think everyone needs to stop trying to think that, because if you try to treat it like a home console, and when you port, like, we should think of it as like, oh, like, and it sucks because it's not priced like a handheld, and it's not, games aren't priced like handheld games. So Nintendo want you to think of it as a home console.
Kind of like handheld priced ish, I think. I mean, I remember 300 is like handheld price? Because I'm pretty sure the 3DS was also 300. I know it's gone down and it goes down a lot more.
I think 300. The problem is, since it's still 300, it's now priced like an Xbox One is, which is a more powerful home console that is also still getting games. And the games are $60, right? They're not $35 or $40 or whatever 3DS games were. So Nintendo wants you to think of it as a mobile console, but in terms of power, it's like what the Vita was, right? In when it came out, it feels, where you can get, and the ports of some home consoles that were coming out that came to the Vita honestly run better than Switch ports of games. You know what I mean? Like, the Switch is so underpowered. Especially now, where it was more underpowered. Like, it was underpowered compared to the PS4 and Xbox One. It was underpowered compared to the 360, I'm pretty sure. But
yeah, it's not as powerful as 360.
Then now when we're on the PS5 and Series X, it's like, oh my god, this thing literally can't compete. It's a fucking mobile console. It's a handheld.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like, for some of Nintendo's like IPs, I don't really care, but like for like Atlas made games or like other companies who aren't Nintendo, I always just feel very dissatisfied when their things are only on the Switch, because every game that's on multi-platform, I would just buy on a different platform.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Bayo 3, like, I would probably rather play on PC.
I also just, like, I almost just feel this fucking, I feel good sometimes when things don't get ported to the Nintendo Switch, because, like, people ask for Persona 5, and I'm like, no, just fucking... just keep it on the actual real video game console.
Yeah, I don't... the only time I'm okay with things getting ported is when it comes out like Doom Eternal, where it comes out like a year late and is unbelievably dog shit, because it's like, you know what? You guys fucking deserve this.
I do feel this, like... I mean, like, to be honest, like, it's not bad to want Switch ports of things, but it's also one of those things where, like, I feel like if you really care about, like, games in general, you should have one other system. Like, like, either an Xbox, a PlayStation, a PC, but, like, only a Nintendo Switch. You're just fucking stupid if you complain every time about getting fucked. Like, not... Like, I feel like some people have this mentality of everything should be on the Switch. It's this portable thing. Why aren't you putting everything on the Switch? It's so popular, so successful. They have it in their minds that there's no reason not to port to Switch if a game could feasibly run on Switch. Like, I know not everyone's, like, delusional enough to think literally everything can be. I think people won't ask for, like, Elden Ring on Switch, but they'll pretend like most things other than that should be on the Switch, which is just, like, it always makes me cringe.
And what they're forgetting is that this is literally hardware that is less powerful than stuff that came out in 2005.
Oh, I mean, are you talking about like PCs when you say that?
Like,
because like I feel like that's 360
the 360 came out in 2005. So if the Switch is less powerful than a 360, that means that hardware that came out in 2005 for let me actually look at the price. How much did
I always forget that generation of consoles was that long ago. That's why I was like, what the fuck?
You know what? You want to know how much the 360 cost in 2005?
How much?
$400. So you're telling me that for $400 in 2005, that technology was stronger than your current $300 console? Which, like, I get, it's a handheld. That's fine. But stop pretending like it's a fucking home console. It is not. It is a fucking handheld system. And it hurts a lot of their games that they try to develop them as home consoles because they run like shit.
Sad. You know? Yeah, I mean, I recently beat Breath of the Wild because I've had it for years, but I don't like Breath of the Wild that much. And the area where you get the Master Sword, it lags consistently. And it actually takes you out of like the experience of getting the Master Sword because it lags so hard. Like there's so much frame dropping there. And like that's there in other points of the game, but like it's not consistent in those parts. But in the Master Sword part specifically, it's just dropping constantly and it doesn't stop. And that's just like, god damn. Like, I feel like if you were gonna like put the Master Sword somewhere, that would be the one area where you really don't want shit like that to be happening. Like, that almost feels like worth delaying the game over. I don't know. Maybe I'm just fucking exaggerating, but like, it's just too important of a moment to have that happening, but it just happens.
Yeah. No, I mean, I agree. I think a lot of games are full of that, right? Like, you know, I think people downplay it with Legends Arceus because they really like the game. I think the same way that I am in my own head downplaying, because I know that a lot of the performance issues I'm having with Elden Ring just come down to the fact that like my PC is getting older and can't really keep up anymore, which is part of why I should probably just buy a PS5. But for something like Elden Ring, like, yeah, I can't really run it without like a lot of frame drops. And, you know, you have to like kind of, because you're having so much fun and the game is so cool and interesting, you know, you kind of look past that in your head when you think of the game. But Legends Arceus runs like shit from everything I've seen, you know? And it's not like it looks that good, but it runs like dog shit. And I think that, you know, it just goes to show that, you know, people complain about Switch games looking bad, but what can they do? They're very hard limited by their fucking system, right? They're not going to look great. They just fundamentally can't.
Yeah, like I just don't even like with some games, another developer doesn't necessarily want to have to go through that every time to get their thing on Switch. Like, yeah, and like people will say like Nintendo manages to like fucking overcome it most of the time, but like it's their console. The fucking other developers aren't wizards about the Nintendo Switch specifically when they're worried about PS5 and Xbox and PC. It's just like, it's kind of unreasonable to be this way about the Switch. I don't know.
Yeah.
That's probably about it.
Okay, so do you want to move on to
move on
from the topic?
Yeah.
All right,
we are
so
not talking about a seasonal. Just
yeah,
so
fuck y'all
knows.
patrons. It's just Nun and I. Craftsdwarf isn't here. So you fucking think that anyone reminded us to watch Orient or watch Sono Biscuit? Fuck no. We did not watch shit. We're also technically recording this the day after the weekly launch, so I mean, I don't even know. The Orient episode might not even be out, honestly. Someone's gonna come in.
I haven't
and say
watched
it is,
the last one or two Orient episodes probably, so even if it was, I would have to fucking catch up.
It's been like 5 episodes. I'm not watching that. So yeah, so we don't watch it. Sue us, so we're going to weekly roundup. Do you have anything, None?
Yeah. So I mean, we can do 2 since we're only like an hour in, and some of that I fucking had to go do something. So I mean, I finished Elfen Lied, both the manga and the anime. It was an experience. I definitely think it's very bad, but I think it's entertaining. Like I think I've seen this kind of reformed attitude that people have said that like I kind of agree with. Like, I'd have to think about it more, but I have seen people like talk about how the idea of something that's boring is worse than being bad. And it's
right.
Like, yeah, I can see that. Like, but Elfen Lied's not boring. It's bad, but it's not boring. So it's like, I still enjoy
So you can
myself.
have fun with yourself when you're watching it.
Yeah, because like, I think I don't like when I think of things that are good about Elfen Lied, like genuinely good, I don't have many things I think are actually good. Like with these shows that people talk about how they have negative opinions on nowadays, I usually see more good in them. Like Code Geass, for example, where people don't like it as much when they revisit it. I think there's genuinely really good things about Code Geass, and like Lelouch's like actually a good character. But like with Elfen Lied, it's the first one of these that I think is actually just really bad.
Yeah, like you couldn't find anything redeemable about it.
Yeah, like I wouldn't even like I remember on one weekly when you said maybe the reason someone has for liking something could just be stupid. like if I'm being perfectly honest, I almost feel like that's Elfen lead. Like that's the one show. It's like I think the reasons you'd have for liking this is like kind of stupid. So like I mean to begin with, like I think all of the characters are just NPCs. Like a lot of them do this thing where they'll find out something about another character, or they'll hear something, but they'll like actually gaslight themselves into thinking they didn't hear it. For example, Coda, the main character, at the beginning of the series, this police officer is looking for Lucy, and he says, and one of the cops says she murdered people. And then the other one was like, no, that's just a joke. She's actually just a missing person. And then he just like ignores that the guy said that she kills people. And then there's like so many instances of that all the characters do all the time. And it's one of those things where it it feels like it's either doing that to keep the status quo for longer, or it's just I don't know what the reason would be to do that so much. Like, I get why the first time he wouldn't believe that, like, Lucy has the capability to kill people, because, like, the personality he knows is the one that's all, like, cute, and, well, she's not fucking cute. She's disgusting, but he thinks she's cute, and she couldn't hurt a fly. But, like, there's other instances where people say that she is wanted and she's like a murderer, but he like will actually just like not accept that, and he'll like ignore it for a very large portion of the series. Whatchamacallit, this other character called Nana comes in, and she's also a Diclonius, which is what they're called, and she basically is also saying Lucy kills people, and she says it, and she even attacks Lucy. The Coda sees this, he just slaps Nana instead and be like, what are you doing? Why did you attack Lucy? And it's like, what? Like, dude? It's very funny about that. I also think, like, what's her name? There's this cousin that likes Coda. She's like brown haired, and she's like very jealous all the time. And she's probably like, she was definitely one of the people that annoyed me, Megaraphics, and Dot the most. She's not the worst one, because we all seemingly didn't like Lucy because she just said new all the time. But this girl would just like get jealous over like literally everything. Like when Coda was like anywhere near Lucy, she would just like be like, why isn't he looking at me like that, or something? Or like, would he cry if something happened to me? Like, and she also knows that Coda's family died. Like, his dad and his sister died. And so he has this traumatic thing going on where he doesn't remember the past very well. But she still gets upset that he doesn't remember events from back then, even though she knows why that's the case. Mm-hmm. And I just think like the entire cast is just this like group of like retards and like actually mentally ill people. And it's kind of funny that they all like gather under this one house, and it has this found family thing going on. Like even Nana, the other Diclonius who originally like hated Lucy because Lucy attacked her. Oh yeah, that's another. Mayu is one girl who lives in the house, and she saw Lucy and Nana fighting, and she saw Nana's like limbs get ripped off, and she actually gaslights herself into thinking there's no way that happened. It's shit like that happens all the time. But yeah, it has this like found family thing going on with the cast, and I just think it's funny because all of them are just like these mentally ill, gaslighting people that are just all living in this house. The best part of Elfen Lied, though, is the character in my profile picture. His name is Bondo with an A. He's not Bondo from Roboco, but Bando. Well, I feel like you would still say it like Bondo.
Yeah. I get
so
what
it
you mean.
still sounds the same, but he's probably Bondo from Roboco's dad, or like maybe Bondo in the future or something. He's a complete Chad though. He like hits this woman the first time he's introduced. Like, she didn't do anything. She just walks up behind him and he hits her because he doesn't want her behind him. He doesn't want people behind him. It's very funny. But and like he has this whole thing at first where he just wants to kill somebody. Like he just really wants to kill somebody and wants the permission to be able to just kill people because he's bored of killing virtual things or whatever. The best thing about him though, I think, is just that he somehow, even though he's like a psychotic murderer at first, well, he's not really a murderer because he actually does like wait for permission to kill people, but he does hit women and like it's just he just has something wrong with him. He's like the most sane in the show. Like somehow he's the most mentally put together because he doesn't gaslight himself. Like like when he sees Lucy later on, right? And she's not the murderous version he knows. And in the manga, she also loses her horns at a certain point. So like he doesn't recognize her because he doesn't have the horns. But as soon as she says new, he knows it's her because when he got defeated by her earlier, she reverted and said new. So he remembered that and was like, "That's her. I'm gonna get her ass." So like he's just smart. He actually knows what he's doing.
Is that what your little status? What the fuck does new mean? Is that what that's from?
No, that's okay. So like when Lucy's in her murderous personality, she has him on the ground and all that shit, and she reverts and says new, and then he's like, "What the fuck is new? I'm gonna blow you to pieces." That's what he says. I like him. I actually like him. He's funny. That is the thing I will compliment about Elfen Lied. He's a funny man. I think it's unfortunate that the anime doesn't the anime came out before the manga was completed, so it actually doesn't have some of his best stuff in it. He has this thing going on where he eventually he promises to protect both Nana and Mayu, who are these like little girls that Mayu's the one who saved him on the beach after Lucy fucked him up. Like she bandaged up his ripped off arm and called the police to help him and all that. So he gives her this free pass. If you're in trouble, call me. And eventually he kind of softens up and is like, oh, this person cares for me for the first time. And he just chads out against this one guy who's attacking Mayu, and he comes in with this very dynamic fucking kick that just I was actually pogging when he came in and protected Mayu. It was so good. I love Bando. He's fucking amazing. I didn't really talk much about the sexual assault stuff in this series, but it's very much there. It's kind of disgusting actually. It's way worse in the manga because the anime actually tones it down. Did I show you Diaper Girl before?
Yes, you did.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did. She pees herself when she's nervous. She's just not in the show. And she's not really that important, so I can see why the show managed to cut her out. But yeah, there's just a lot of weird stuff that I actually think we couldn't just put on the screen in the Weeb Club. But it's constant throughout the manga. And I think the worst thing about it is if you're gonna have that stuff in your series, it should at least look hot or cute, but it looks bad. And the creator of the manga says that his art doesn't look good, but he's still doing this anyway. He knows that he doesn't draw the best, but he still does it. Why?
I think really quickly, Ned, I do want to say I think there are a few people who will disagree with your idea that if you're going to have sexual assault, it should at least be hot. Because I think there is an argument to be made against that you don't want to sexualize.
But I guess. But it's it's one of those things where it's it has like the one that's supposed to be the comedic sexual assault, and like why doesn't that at least look good?
Like the he falls and he trips and falls on her boobs, like that kind of thing.
Hmm.
Okay,
Lucy's
okay.
the one who sexually assaults people. Actually, she just like, even like in the manga, she does this thing where like eventually she develops more, and that split personality that was like childlike and only said "you" starts to be able to talk, and she like becomes a real person. But she like has this moment of compulsion for some reason. She just really wants to grab a girl's tits, and then she does it. There's like a lot of that. It's kind of
Okay.
weird in the sense that like they have sexual assault bad moments, like Mayu's dad sexually assaulted her. Um,
Whoa.
yeah, there's also this, the guy that Bondo saves Mayu from was gonna like rape her. There's a lot of that shit. So it's like it's almost weird when they have like the comedic sexual assault even on characters who are supposed to be like fucking
Actual
like
sexual assault victims.
yeah. It's very strange. Uh Good manga.
Yeah, that sounds
10 out of
rough.
10.
All right, so
Yeah.
do you want me to go now?
Yeah,
Are you
you can
done?
go ahead.
So I watched the Batman, the new Batman movie starring Robert Pattinson. It's fucking pog. Is like the first thing I guess like it's good. It's good. It's really good. I don't know if it's my favorite live action Batman movie yet. I want to rewatch the Dark Knight trilogy, but it is close for sure. It's really really good. I think it gets Batman so well in a way that I think a lot of other movies haven't completely captured aspects of the character. I mean the movie is very dark, um, and it's very brooding. Um, there's a lot of shots and in a lot of moments, as Bruce Wayne. It's hard because I think part of why I like the movie so much is the arc that Batman goes through in the movie. I think is really sick, and it takes the few things that I hadn't vocalized before I saw the movie that I thought were worries. One of them was a specific line that's in the trailer that I was like, little too violent and edgy for like what I think of as Batman. And even like that line is used in a way in the movie to like play into this arc that Batman's going through, and I think it's really fucking good at that. And I think that like it's something that I like a lot when superhero movies do. And we've seen it a couple times I think now in the MCU, and it's always in movies that I really enjoy. In terms of just like kind of the way that the arc is, I don't want to say structured, but like the way the arc kind of works, I think is good, and I like when it's done. I think it works really well as a movie, actually. And I mean, this might give it away, but I think it works really well as a movie when you don't need the origin story told to you. Because Batman is in that lucky place where, Superman's there, I think, Spider-Man's there. You could probably say the X-Men are kind of there. I think people know that they're just born different, you know what I mean? Where you don't have to do their origin story, you know what I mean? So you can start the movie and they're already the hero, right? And you can start it, in this movie's case, he's 2 years into being Batman. So there's a lot, I think, that opens up about how you can structure that kind of a story. And I think it's done really well in this movie. I really, really like Batman's arc, and I think it then ties in so well with how Bruce Wayne is in this movie, where he's such like like he's just so, the entire movie he's like quiet, and he looks like bored, and he doesn't really want to be like Bruce Wayne, and he's not he is not the playboy that Bruce Wayne is normally, right? But it works for what the movie is about and trying to do, and it also works just like for the tone of the movie, where it's it very much is like Seven, but with Batman. Which I know that's a comparison that's been made by a bunch of other people that I just aped it off of, but it is like a detective crime movie, but just with Batman. And it's really fucking good at that. The action scenes are fucking great. Batman and Jim Gordon are unbelievably gay for each other. I was a little surprised by that. It's just fucking good. I don't know. It's a really, really good movie. I recommend people go watch it. There's a lot more I would say if I didn't want to not spoil it for people, including none. Because it is actually just like a super good movie, and I think that people I think that if you like Batman and you really like what Batman's about, and you feel like especially the last movie version of Batman kind of didn't get it right, which I also don't think it really got it super right, but I do think that the arc that Affleck Batman kind of went through in the Snyder Cut made up for a lot of it and made me, like, at the end, I'm like, he was fine. I think this movie fucking gets it and is really fucking sick and super good.
Do you happen to remember what the specific trailer line was?
Oh, yeah, I just didn't want to say it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you don't have to.
Because it is actually, like important to the movie, so I don't want to say it. But yeah, it's super sick. You should go watch it, None, after you watch the Nolan movies.
Yeah, I'll probably watch it if I finish the Nolan movies in time. I don't know.
Have you only watched Batman Begins?
Yeah. Only watched Batman Begins so far. Did you see that one trailer, though, that had, like, the Superpets thing that has Batman in it?
Yeah.
I really want to watch that. It was funny, the trailer.
I like that Keanu Reeves is Batman in it. Do you like the what is it?
Kevin Hart's the
Kevin Hart
Batman's
bunny?
dog. Yeah, I actually thought he did a really good job from what I saw in the trailer. And I'm looking forward to it. It actually looks fun.
I hope you go to the theater and it's like you and you take your little brother, and then it's just a bunch of fucking kids and their parents. Oh, is he at the age now where he wouldn't go to that?
He's never liked
cool
superheroes. He's
okay.
just always been anti-superhero right now. Because the thing is, all the other kids really like superheroes, but he's like...
Oh, does he try to be different?
It's not even that. Like, I know he's genuinely not interested, but it's also... I think
what's he into?
The thing with him is his interests are still younger type things. Like PBS Kids and shit. Whereas every other kid likes Among Us and... what the fuck? Even Squid Game, like he's aware of Squid Game because of them. Even Rick and Morty, like they're into like some of the other shit, but he doesn't like it. So unfortunate. Maybe one day.
Popular children's media, Squid Game and Rick and Morty. That's fucking funny.
Yeah, Squid Game, Rick and Morty, Among Us.
That's fucking what a trio. What the fuck is gonna happen when those kids grow up, dude?
They're fucking wild from what I know. There was also a kid who called him the N-word. He was a white kid who called him the N-word, so
oh my god.
Yeah, I don't know what they're fucking on.
Yeah, maybe the internet's been unchecked for a little too long, and we're actively... I mean, I've been ruined by the internet, and I'm, like 15, 16 years older than these kids, so I can't imagine what the fuck's gonna happen to their brains.
Yeah. He even said today how he hates furries.
Were you proud of him?
Yeah, but it was because someone put it on his computer to, like, mess with him, I think. And he thought it was disgusting, so... Yeah.
At least he's not a furry.
Yeah. I'm very thankful for that. Yeah, we're gonna do 2 picks on on our fucking thing, because since Craft's not here, they run shorter, so we might as well do 2 if we can. My second thing could either be Breath of the Wild or Batman Begins. I probably have more to say about Breath of the Wild, but I could just talk about Batman Begins.
No, save it for when you finish the trilogy. Or
Okay.
if you just watch TDK and want to talk about TDK, then talk about the first two and then talk about Dark Knight Rises after. I think it would be more interesting.
All right. So I mean, I finished Breath of the Wild. I've been at like close enough to completion for a long time, but I just haven't felt like playing more because I made the mistake of wanting to do a bunch of the shrines and trying to do all of them.
Yeah.
I ended up not doing all of them, but like I have most of them.
You're a stronger man than I. I wish I actually feel like because I feel like because there's 120 of them.
I don't fucking know.
I think there's 120 of them, and I definitely feel like you reach a point where you've done so many that the sunk cost fallacy starts to kick in, and like it takes more strength at that point to actually quit doing the shrines than it does to just suffer through like those last like 10, where like it's all the really cringe ones that you saved for the end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like some of the ones where you have to do like an outside thing to unlock the shrine itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I played the game just going around the map doing all the towers and all the shrines I could find. And for the most part, I didn't engage with like a lot of the Divine Beast stuff yet. But at a certain point, I just got tired of the game because I just don't think Breath of the Wild's world is as good as some people seem to think it is. They can think that, but it's just like there's so many ways that I don't think it feels fulfilling because there's not any interesting characters to find. I don't think the side quests are fun. A point that has changed in my mind that you kind of brought up in the last Weeb Club is about the item degradation or whatever the fuck, the items breaking. At first, I didn't really care about that as a complaint because it's like, I get it, but it's also like, I don't think it's that much of a problem, but like you rephrasing it did make me realize that it kind of is a problem because, if everything breaks, you never become attached to the weapons you find. And it's another thing that reduces the reward of exploring. Because if you actually kept some items or could fix them, you would feel really good about finding all these things. But if you feel like you're just going to lose them anyway, you don't get attached to them. And I'm not attached to any weapons that I find because they just break and go away. There's not any memorable item in the game. Yeah, I can think of the swords in the game and stuff, but I don't care about them because they didn't stick with me. So it's just in a lot of ways I don't find exploring the world to be actually rewarding. I also think the enemy variety in the game is very, very low. I never put that much thought into it until Elden Ring came out and people were talking about how there's hundreds and shit of bosses and all this so much shit in there. I don't expect to be that level, but there's not that many normal enemies in the game. Most of them are the fucking goblins or the skeleton goblins, the taller fucking things and their skeleton versions.
Yeah. It's goblins and oh my god, what are they? I'm so upset I can't remember them, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, the taller pig goblin things.
Yeah,
I don't fucking know. Yeah. And there's also recolored versions of those, but they're still just different color versions. There's the rock monsters and the bigger rock monsters, the really huge skeleton guy with the one eyeball. But yeah. There's really not that many enemies in the game, and most of the time you're just running into the same goblins that have the hideouts, so it's it just doesn't feel good to fight enemies because they're all the same. I actually just don't even sometimes I don't even want to engage with them because it's all the same thing.
It feels like at a certain point, I think the thing with Breath of the Wild that I can't deny is that the first 10 to 15 hours of that game I do think are amazing.
Yeah,
right?
same. I would even like personally. I actually think the first 30 hours is good. Like I really liked for the most part.
Well, I was gonna say I think the first 10 to 15 hours for me were like close to a 10. Like legitimately, like what I think legitimately the way I think people describe the game. I think the problem is the more time I played, the less I thought of the game.
Yeah.
Because the more I started to realize that like so much of what's in that game to pad it out, it does just feel like padding and does just feel like it's nothing special, right? With the items you find don't matter. The items you get from shrines, yeah, they level you up, but like that just kind of makes you stronger, and it makes it so that like if I really wanted to explore the game and do a bunch of stuff, the game is easier. And I feel the same way about the Divine Beasts, where if I go and try to do the story, I make the final boss easier for myself.
Yeah,
which means that if I want to actually like play the game in full, like I'm not gonna do anything. Like playing the game in full, I think is really good in games where to do everything in the game, even though you're better at it clearly because you've done everything up to that point, the game challenges you with something that makes it harder. Right. So, you know, obviously a great example is super bosses, right? In JRPGs, you know, I think especially Kingdom Hearts 2 is a phenomenal example of this, where to get the Golden Crown, you have to do these challenges that involve knowing how to set a build up. Or you have challenges that are, you know, you have like the 12 super bosses, and then you also have Lingering Will. And so I like that, you know, that game challenges me for trying to do everything. But in Breath of the Wild, if you do even like everything in the story, the game is easier. So it just like, it kind of feels like you almost get punished gameplay wise for doing everything.
Yeah, I think it's a lot more of a problem with the fucking Divine Beasts, like taking half health from that first form of Ganon. Whereas with the shrines, I don't think having more hearts or more stamina like kills it. I mean, maybe it's just the way I did it, where like most of the time I was just upgrading my stamina. I don't have like a fuckload of hearts. I do have like a pretty decent amount, but it's mostly my stamina.
No, I did it the same way, and I don't think it's that bad either. I just like was using that as an example of really the Divine Beasts, I think, being the worst part.
Yeah. And like I guess in one way that it's not super Breath of the Wild's fault, I guess, is that you could just like use a bunch of arrows on that first form of Ganon at like at least at first. Which, yeah, it's not really that big a deal. But it is like a really easy fight. Like it's like him only having two forms, and like the last form just being like literally free. Like it's how do you lose to that last form? It's not even possible to lose, really. And like I wish that the final boss of Ganon did challenge you a little more. Like I did like how when he had that state where you can't hit him, you have to parry his lasers. I thought that was fucking awesome, because like I didn't even know I could parry lasers. I didn't know the entire time until then. And I was like, let me just try this, because I don't really know what to do. And then I could fucking parry his lasers. So I felt cool as shit for doing that. But I feel like I wouldn't have been as cool if I knew that. Like I only just happened to not know that, so it was really cool. But if I knew that and I just played the boss normally, it would have been even lamer. I just think it's weird that like it feels like there's almost not that much fanfare for like defeating Ganon, kind of, sort of. Not even just like in the ending itself, but just like, again, only those two forms. Doesn't like Wind Waker have like 3 or 4 forms of Ganon? And like,
and it's like a whole dungeon to get there, and it's very climactic, and it's even more cinematic, where you take control of Zelda for a minute, you know, to land a bow shot. But you know, Wind Waker is just built different as a Zelda game, so.
And like, I think whatchamacallit, Hyrule Castle is like kind of cool. Like I like them. Like I like how it actually has music, and it like has the climactic fucking sounding music to make you feel kind of cool for going through it. But even in the castle, the enemies are all the fucking same still. Like, yeah, there's more of the fucking whatchamacallit, the like the machine things. I don't fucking remember what they're called. There are more of them there, but it's still like not. It's not that challenging for one, and for two, I don't know. There's not even that much to explore in there. Um, like I just think like they really dropped the ball on like the Divine Beasts and Hyrule Castle because they're not interesting to solve or go through, especially the Divine Beasts that all look the same and all have the same exact template. And the bosses are all not memorable because they all look the same. Like they're all like I like that they're all connected to Ganon, but like I still feel like their design doesn't look good. Like I don't know. Like I don't know what I would have asked them to do, but I still don't think they're memorable at all. Yeah, I do think that like the good thing about Breath of the Wild is like its template and all the shit that they have there as a base is really fucking good. Like that's why I do believe Breath of the Wild 2 can be a legitimately great game because what they built there is really good. And like I do agree when people post stuff like cool little tricks that people do because of like the physics and all these things in the game that look very impressive, but I just think a lot of the game is more empty than it seems, and it just doesn't. I don't know. It never lived up. Well, I guess the first fucking beginning of it, but it never like really landed as strongly as it did for other people. For me, just because like I don't know. I don't have much driving me to play because the story is so weak that I don't feel driven to see more of the story. There's no like there's not even one character that I think is like awesome. Like fucking Elfen lead makes me think Bondo's a Chad, and Breath of the Wild can't make me like think someone else is a Chad in that game.
There's one awesome character, the fish bro.
No, I don't agree.
Here's my thing when you think about it, right? You know, when you look at like how well. Okay, wait. Oh my God, can I think about how English works? When you look at how good narrative focused games do, right? Why isn't Zelda Nintendo's? You know, well, like this is gonna sound cringe, but like I think you could understand this if Nintendo wanted to put the work in. Why, especially with the newest Zelda having voice acting, why isn't Zelda Nintendo's God of War, or like you know what I mean?
Pretty good point. Yeah.
Like why aren't like why is Zelda? And I know that people are like the open world stuff, but I like it's like, and yes, like you know, again, Elden Ring is very popular and is an open world, and I think you know people are drawing a lot of comparisons between the two, and I think it makes sense, and I actually understand why people are drawing the comparisons. I think people who would say not to draw the comparisons are being dumb. However, I do think that you know Zelda could have been a very narrative focused thing with like this really interesting fantasy epic story that like could have fucking been awesome. Yeah. Like, what are Nintendo doing?
I think there's definitely like there's an emotional core there that they could play off of about like, yeah, everyone's fucking dead. They failed. Link has been gone for 100 years. Zelda, it's sad that Zelda has been holding off Ganon for hundreds of years. Well, actually, no, just 100 years alone. And the trailers for the game promoting the game made it seem way more story heavy than it actually was. Like when I watched those trailers, I thought they were awesome. Like, and I guess I shouldn't like assume too much about the game. I don't feel like I did actually, but the trailers, the first initial trailer especially, really came off very differently about how the story was in the game. And I watched that trailer several times when it came out. It's like it's fucking awesome.
Yeah, I definitely think the game leans so hard into the open world and stuff that it lost the chance for like a legitimately really cool and compelling narrative. Because what the game just has is non-existent, and it's really sad.
Yeah, just alone for like fucking hours on end. I really hope Breath of the Wild 2 lets Zelda be with Link for like a decent amount of time at least.
And lets the narrative exist.
Yes, like I really want them to build on what they have, and if like I'll feel kind of fucking molded if they have some kind of excuse for Link to be alone for most of the game, because like I feel like they could do that because they want to like keep doing what Breath of the Wild did, and it would like they might fear it might ruin what Breath of the Wild 1 was doing if we have Zelda around a lot or we see her consistently. I don't fucking know. I don't know.
No, that makes sense.
Not a fan of Breath of the Wild. I think it falls into a lot of the trappings other open world games do. But people say that it doesn't, but it fucking does. There's no shot it doesn't.
I think in every single way Breath of the Wild just is a modern open world game made by Nintendo. Like I do not think it, and you know I would even say that I think it is very much a normal open world game. There are some things that are unique to it. There are some things that are unique to a bunch of different open world games, and yes, things have copied Breath of the Wild, right? With like Immortals Phoenix Rising and Genshin Impact, right? You have like the climbing stuff, and I think the games even look similar, and like the gliding. But then, you also look at, the towers, in Breath of the Wild came from other open world games, right? So I don't think Breath of the Wild did anything too insanely unique. I think that the most interesting part of the game is something that I personally never engaged with and never felt compelled to engage with. But which is like the way that the game's mechanics work into each other and to make the gameplay really freeform and allow a lot of creativity and doing things, and I guess in problem solving. However, I feel like the game never really pushes you to need to use that creativity ever. Even to do shrines, there were very simple puzzles, and there's never any that are like, oh, you really have to think about the game's mechanics and come up with a really, really wild solution.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I had something else I wanted to say, but now I can't remember. Oh yeah. Like when I play like an Assassin's Creed game, I also have that understanding of like I shouldn't do like literally everything because they'll drag the game down. And that just applies to Breath of the Wild as well. But I don't fucking know. I almost feel like Assassin's Creed, it's easier to understand that you shouldn't do everything just because of the way the extra stuff is.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the game, because like I did everything in 2, but 2 is kind of a lot smaller by today's standards, right? Like Assassin's Creed 2 is it's from 2008, so it's so much smaller of an open world that it is. Like that game, I actually think you could be expected to do everything, but yeah, if you look at the modern Assassin's Creed games, which are so huge, you are absolutely not supposed to be doing everything on that map, and so instead it allows. I would imagine that the reasoning that the corporate Ubisoft would give would probably be something along the lines of like the focus groups show that by having a bunch of different things and having a bunch of even the same things in different parts of the map, it allows us to easily create instances that players can stumble upon at any time that they can enjoy and like get something out of, but they don't actually have to go out of their way too far to find something engaging to do, which is fine, but it does kill completionists, like people who want to complete it, because it just means that you're never going to do everything.
With Breath of the Wild and like the shrines, I feel like because those things are technically the main gameplay thing you're supposed to do, it feels like it's harder to have that understanding of I shouldn't do all of these almost.
Yeah, because the problem is, I think honestly, is that outside of the shrines and like 2 side quests, even one of the side quests, right? Like the side quest to get the Master Sword is just doing shrines, right? And so
to get the Master Sword, that's memories. Pretty sure. Actually,
no. You get all the
Fucking
memories, I think,
confused.
to unlock the ability to knowledge of where it is, but to actually pull it out, right? You need a bunch of hearts, which are shrines. It's like there's 4 divine beasts in Ganon, and I mean, everyone talks about you can go to Ganon right at the start, but that means that if you don't do shrines, your experience with the game is very short, right? Because you could probably do, if you like kind of moved quickly, you could do the memories, shrines, divine beasts, Ganon, not even do all the towers, and do like a very small handful of shrines, and I guess if you get the Master Sword, you have to do quite a bit more. But if you just forego the Master Sword, that's literally like I'd imagine you could do that easily in like under 10 hours casually. You know what I mean? So that's almost the problem. Is like the shrines are the only way to actually feel like you're playing a lot of the game, and it's like, oh, these are all the exact same.
Yeah, and you kind of do need like if you do want to feel like you're engaging with like at least a substantial amount of the game, you have to do enough shrines to where you have like a decent amount of hearts and a decent amount of stamina, because like if you never upgraded your stamina, it would really suck to traverse the world, because the fucking like the climbing limit would really get in your way. So like yeah, there's like, and since like four orbs from the shrine is 1 heart or like a little bit of stamina, you'd have to do at least like 60 shrines, maybe 50, if you're focusing on both a decent amount of stamina and hearts. And you're definitely meant to do all the divine beasts. So like you are meant to do like a substantial amount of shrines. You're meant to do the divine beasts, which end up weakening Ganon, and it's the only way to get the true ending. So like there are things there that do force you to do some of those things that end up making the game feel more like a letdown, because it makes the final boss easier. It makes you have to do more shrines than you probably should reasonably do. Yeah. Not my favorite game I've played. You can do your next thing.
Yeah, I don't fully know if I have I guess I'll talk about, I've been rereading Kingdom, because I was a little behind on it, and it's firmly cemented in my mind that if I'm reading something weekly, every 3 to 4 years, I just have to stop reading it for a little bit and do a reread, because there's so much stuff that maybe I would have remembered, but like just going through it all again is gonna mean that when I get back to, I mean, I'm even seeing it in stuff that, in the first 200 chapters, I'm seeing just direct things that happen later, like direct parallels being drawn in character stuff that happen 400 chapters later, 500 chapters later. So it's really good to go back and reread it, every 3 years, I think 3-4 years for something like that. One Piece is due for one as well. And so I did Kingdom, and I forgot how much I fucking love this manga. Man, it is so good. It does so much stuff so well, and I love Shin. I love all the characters. It's so cool. The art, it doesn't start super good, but I think it immediately, like after the first arc, gets really fucking good art wise. I love the battlefield tactics. I love the way that these massive armies are drawn, and when you see the tactics move, and if you see one army crashing into another, the way you can see them like fanning inside the army is like a wedge, gives you this really good sense of how everything's done. And then I just love like watching the story unfold, and especially now knowing where it's going, seeing the early stuff is just super fun and super good. And I'm in the Coalition War right now, so I'm in what I think is a phenomenal arc, and it was my favorite until the last full arc I read. That's like fucking just so much better. But it's like this arc like is so good because it just has everyone that has appeared in the manga at this point. That doesn't happen with the other arc that I like more, but the arc that I like more has a bunch of characters that are really important, do all have big moments, but Shin just has so many crazy good moments in the arc. And there's a fight that it ends with that is just so fucking elite. But I mean, it's so good, and there's so much good shit in it, and I'm loving reading it. It just Kingdom's fucking great, and I think it's funny because you'll forget. Like, I know Kingdom's, like my number 3 manga right now. So I know that I like Kingdom a lot. And when I think about it, it's like, yeah, I love Kingdom. But it's like you kind of forget, I think, sometimes with those really high favorites, how much you actually can love it until you like go back through it after a couple of years. And it's like, oh, yeah. This is, yep. This is what I love.
I think when it comes to favorites, even though you have like lots of favorites, you're probably more biased toward thinking of your like top 1, top 2, maybe top 3.
I would say
like,
those top 5,
stuff.
top 3, top 5 are very, it depends on the media, yes, but yeah, top 3, top 5, you're so much more, like connected to.
Yeah, and you think about that more, even though like, it robs you of thinking of some of the other favorite stuff just because that stuff is just so fucking like clear and like probably. I mean, you don't score anything anymore, but like
no.
When you did, it would have been your 10s. So
yeah, I mean, my 10s for manga, if I scored, are getting a little wild. I think there's 6 of them, 5 of them. It's hard to know. I'd have to reread some stuff, but yeah, I mean, those 10s are and that's the thing about like those 10s. You know what I mean? Where it's your top few, where it's like you really do. I think it really is like. Almost is like important to me, at least in terms of how I use the time I have for media consumption, right? To use some of that time to go back through like my favorites, you know what I mean? And like re-get like, yeah, this is why I love this so much. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And so I love doing that with Kingdom. And I don't know if I'll do any others. I mean, One Piece, but One Piece isn't one of those favorites, right? Like, I don't know if I would ever give One Piece a 10 right now, at least. But, I might look at some of my favorite games for a replay next. But I do think going through favorites is really important and is something that I actually super recommend doing, like, every once in a while, just to refresh like why you love something, because after a while it can definitely start to diminish.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I do think it can be very fun to go back through favorites.
All right, that's pretty much all I have to say. What are you going to talk about next week, do you think?
I am not sure. I mean, like, maybe the Batman trilogy. I can't think of anything I'm going through because, beating Breath of the Wild and Last of Us 2, I haven't like started up like a game that I'm focusing on. Like, I did start up Wonderful 101, but I don't feel like playing anymore because I'm not super into it like I used to be, and I don't feel like forcing myself to play it. So right now I don't really have a game I'm going through. And with Sonobisuke, I do intend to catch up to it, but that wouldn't necessarily be a weekly roundup thing. It would just be the seasonal. Yeah, I'm really not sure.
Mm-hmm. I am not sure either. It will most likely be a movie, because I don't think I will finish anything else soon. So unless like all of a sudden I like Rent a Girlfriend ends next week, which isn't happening, it will most likely be just like, oh yeah, I talk about I'll like talk about some movies I watch. I'll like intentionally watch some movies to have something to talk about. So that'll probably be it for me. All right, everyone. Adios. Thank you guys for listening to this, I'm sure, different episode of the Weeb Club. But, I thought it was fun. So, adios, everyone.